So one thing I'm realizing more and more is that when it comes to things of a creative nature, and when it comes to things of a creative nature that involve us going outside the box and outside of our comfort zone, and maybe this applies to just life in general, it's imperative to remember that it's not gonna feel good at first a lot of the times, and when you're thinking about it before you do it, it's often gonna seem difficult or unreasonable or unfeasible. But once you actually get into the act of painting, writing, shooting photos, it becomes a lot easier, it becomes fun. And before you know it, 30 minutes, an hour and a half, 2 hours have gone by, and you're just fully immersed in whatever that craft is. And that's the experience I had, I think, 2 days ago now, where I went out to shoot some photos, like some nighttime stuff, on a rainy day, and there were so many things that in my head were holding me back from going forward and being prolific and being a creative individual, which obviously I like to do. But I decided to go anyway, and I got some pretty interesting pictures because of it. So that's what we're going to be breaking down in this video. It's kind of like a behind the scenes, but I wanted to add in this first segment at the beginning to kind of just tell you guys that it's going to be difficult sometimes when it comes to this creative pursuit. Even just making this video, putting together the setup for the first time took me an hour, I think, way longer than I thought it would. But it's fun. I'm glad that I'm in front of the camera right now. I'm glad that I'm recording, and I'm glad that I was able to put together this video for you. So when it comes to creativity, it takes a little bit of stick-to-itiveness, and it takes a little bit of effort, but once you get into the process, it becomes effortless, honestly, anyway. So we're going to transition into these photos and checking those out. And I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about each photo, kind of the whole process of the night, and how I came out with what I did in the end. And then I'm also going to include a little bit of an ending segment as well, so stay tuned for that. All right, so now it's Dimitri from the future who is going to be walking you through some of these pictures. So let's get started with this first one. Really interesting composition I got here. I really just stumbled into this photo, to be honest with you. I didn't notice this guy at first, but then I turned my head to the right as I was walking through this little shopping center, and I saw him just standing on the corner right in front of this Sally Beauty Supply sign, and I was like, that could be interesting. Luckily for me, I had this card to my left that I could get that reflection off as well, just to get that extra detail. But then I also was able to get a little bit of that kind of white light shining from the store onto the street, which was really interesting. Captured him in a silhouetted way, which was really cool to me at the time, and just overall interesting photo. Definitely not the type of picture I take, but as a start to the night, it was pretty positive and showed me that, okay, I can kind of maybe replicate this in some other areas nearby. So you're gonna see I move on to another sign, and this is basically where I do the rest of my work for the night. That contrasts this image in terms of color, but I think beats this image in terms of quality. So let's get to that one. Slow fade out here. All right. Oh, actually, before we get to that one, we're gonna do this one. So this was to the basically on the opposite side of the shopping mall to that picture I just took, and it's really just kind of a more of a mood image. If I was creating a photo set, I think this would maybe be the second or third image in that set, just showing off a feeling, a mood, an emotion. The yellow tungsten light is just creepily glowing over this door. I really wish I had someone just happen to just possibly walk through this scene. It would have been perfect. It would have provided that nighttime essence that you can feel. It's almost palpable as you walk through the streets and you see something like this. That scene just evokes something from me. I'm glad I captured it. So pretty much just a blacked out image other than that tungsten light that you see coming in. And it's simple, but it's interesting to me. Definitely a quality image. Okay, and this is what I was talking about when I said contrasting that first image. So we get this gigantic Ross dress for less sign, which is on the opposite side of the shopping mall. And then also to the left of that, you can see that tungsten light that I did a close-up on in the previous image. So it's cool because you have that yellow tungsten with this super blue neon kind of contrasting each other, and then that's all framed in
these rain droplets that I got on the, I think this was like the passenger side window of my car. And then that's also furthered by the silhouette of that vehicle, which was kind of to the right of my car. And then you also have the reflection of that neon sign on the water, which was obviously everywhere since it was a super rainy day. So we get the water on the parking lot there, on the parking lot pavement. And it's just, this image is perfect. It's definitely going to be the thumbnail for this video. I can already tell. It just has all the things I want. It has the color contrast, it has visual interest, it's dynamic, and it's outside the box for me because, like I said, I really don't take pictures like this. Landscape pictures of the street aren't really my thing. I'm more of a portrait person, but this one came out really well. This one I'm definitely going to save in my favorites type of file that I have on my computer. This one was a quality image. And you'll see I mess around with this sign a little bit more and create some other interesting compositions out of this one little scene. I stay here basically for the rest of the night. Okay, so basic reflection shot here. Once again, another type of picture, another type of composition that I don't really do. And you can see I didn't really do it very well either. What I should have done was try to angle it a little bit more to the left, so I could have gotten a perfect symmetry or a perfect symmetrical image, rather than this one that you can tell is kind of from an angle. I think what I was struggling was the puddle, the placement of the puddle. Of course, it was just randomly put there. It wasn't meant to really form that way. The placement of the puddle kind of messed with my angle a little bit here, and I had some trouble composing it correctly. But I snapped it anyway and decided to drop it in here. I think it's right. It makes sense as with this set of photos. Definitely not my favorite out of this set, and probably one of my least favorites, but it's here. Then we get this one, which is definitely interesting. So the good thing about this one is that I got something that I didn't get in that first picture with the Dress for Less sign, which was the human element. I didn't get anyone walking through that first picture. I wanted that silhouette to really just cap off the feeling of that scene, but I did get it in this one. That's why I included this one in the photo set. So instead of using the puddle for the reflection in this one, I decided to use the roof of that car. And you can kind of see that I almost get the Ross reflected in there, but I don't quite get it, which sucks. I think the roof of this car was a little bit too textured, and I wasn't able to get a perfect clean reflection. But this one's interesting because it does have that neon, attractive, eye-catching nature to it, but it also has the people kind of strolling through the middle and the super bright white fluorescent light coming from the store, which is really nice in this nighttime scene, especially on a rainy night. Then we get this one. This one is more about the shapes of the image rather than the content. So let me kind of break it down real quick. So when we're looking at the car, we see that it's almost forming like a rectangle going across the bottom of the image. And of course it has that really deep royal blue color to it because I was getting the reflection off of that. But then if you look at the left side, you see that person is kind of framed in another rectangle, which is vertical, obviously running perpendicular to the horizontal rectangle, almost rectangle that is the car. Then next to that you have another vertical rectangle, which is almost completely darked out on the one side, completely silhouetted just because the way the light was hitting it, or wasn't hitting it actually. And then to the right of that you have another rectangle, which is highlighted by this super white fluorescent light. That rhymes really well, I just realized. But then you have that one to the right of that, and then you also have the super dark silhouetted sliver of that tree and the mound of dirt that was sitting on. I really like the way that came out just from a compositional perspective.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you for sticking around to the end and listening to this quick little message. So considering this is like the first formal video I'm putting on this channel, I just wanted to discuss a little bit more about what this channel will be for me and hopefully for you guys as well if you decide to continue watching me and staying with this whole process. So if you don't know me, Dimitri Williams, I run a podcast called MugenCast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and whatever other podcasting channel you may be listening to or listening on. It's on all of them, and that mainly centers around my appreciation for creativity and how it integrates into the day-to-day lives of everyone, really. It's something that I find ubiquitous. It's something that I think is within everyone. So I have on guests, I do solo shows, and I mainly just talk about how that creative process forms for me and what it looks like for me, especially in terms of photography, since that's kind of my main thing that I do. But I felt that there was somewhat of a gap on YouTube in terms of content like that, things that I discussed on my podcast. But I felt that it would make great video content, so I wanted to sit down in front of the camera in a very simple setup, as you could say, or as you can see. It's just me in front of the camera discussing and talking to you guys. But I think I have some things to say that could be useful. So going forward, I will have behind-the-scene videos like this one where I discuss, photo shoots I've done, different pictures I've taken, and like some photographic stuff, more or less. But the primary goal of this channel is to just impart to you guys how I see creativity integrating into my day-to-day life and integrating into my photography, and coming together to make me as a person, and I think many others as well. So I hope you guys will take some lessons from this channel. If you want to go listen to my podcast, feel free, I'll link it down below. Maybe take some lessons from that and take some insight that you can apply to your own life. That's the ultimate goal with this whole thing. So I hope you guys continue to stay tuned and watch some of these upcoming videos. I have a ton of ideas that I have in my phone that I need to do, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I appreciate you guys watching this first video. I'll see you in